the NAFTAA Podcast.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
NAFTAA Podcast, episode 200 plus, like 7 or 8 or something like that. John usually keeps track. As you can tell, John is not here today. It is Dylan and I. We are filling in for Johnny. Nick also not here. Nick has so much stuff going on. We wish him the best. I think the last time it was just me and John. Dylan, how you been doing? Got any complaints about the last episode? Anything you want to air out right now?
Bing bong. I think that your take on New York sports is atrocious. We've hashed that out in another forum, and I don't want to get anyone riled up, but essentially Embiid, I don't know what you want people to chant. Like, I think I said this in the group, especially from a Rangers perspective. We're very lucky that we had 2-syllable good goalies in Henrique and Igor, because for Jonathan Quick, no one knows what to chant. So we're just very blessed. Just keep things at 2 syllables, and that's the chant you're getting. You're getting no other creativity from us.
You just wanna keep it simple. I respect that. Actually, you bing bonged, which is fantastic because I do love side talk so much. I think those people are the funniest people on the internet. It's just sad that the creativity from side talk cannot translate to any better New York chant. At least for the Knicks. I can't say anything about the Yankees or anybody else, but for the Knicks.
I feel like of all people, though, this is going to be a ricochet shot. You guys should understand what it's like to not have a team that all of a sudden is good. Just let people be happy. We're not used to this.
Listen, they're allowed. They can be happy. I'm with you there. They're allowed to be happy. I'm just gonna rib them a little bit. You know, that's all. Speaking of the Knicks, I have a ton of money on them tonight. So go Jalen Brunson and go Dante DiVincenzo. Pop off, please. We had a full weekend, and then 2 days Champions League. We had a Europa Conference League game that I was actually invested in. We had a lot of soccer to get to, but first off, as we always do, when we want to, sometimes we don't want to, but as we always do, let's do Dudes of the Week. Dylan, I know you're so excited about the dudes. I'll let you rattle off. I'll let you do all 3, and then I'll do 3 after that if you want.
Unorthodox. Really?
Yeah, Michael's in charge today.
Okay. I think these are the most unique and fun ones I've had in a while. So, number 1, Andy King, first dude of the week. Do you know the name?
I do not.
So, Andy King is the dude of the week because he is the first and only player to win League One, the Championship, and the Premier League with the same club. He's been playing for Leicester this entire time. So, kind of legendary status.
Shout out Barb, shout out the Foxes. I love that.
Exactly. I felt good about that one.
That's a fantastic one.
I was going to do Ipswich for going up to and doing an Ed Sheeran shout out because your boy got tickets to the pop-up show, but let's
go.
We'll leave that in honorable mention. So next we'll do Bromley is my other dude of the week. Going from a promotion. There's a lot of promotion here. Because they got promoted from the National League, and it's the first time ever in professional soccer in the English Pyramid. So, go Bromley. I feel like they're a name that pops around in the FA Cup every once in a while.
I see. I saw didn't they go to Pens and win?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw it. It was sick. I loved it.
And then finally, the third one, Walter Dominguez. He just got called up or promoted to the Uruguayan national team for their next international break. I forget the number, but he scored let's say he scored 30 or 40 goals this year because he's been playing in the semi-pro beer leagues in Uruguay, and Belsa brought him up. So living the dream, hopefully get some run in case Darwin needs a break when they play Costa Rica. I'm living every basically person's dream that plays beer league soccer.
I love that. Beer league baseball, I understand at a conceptual level Beer league soccer, I could not do the running.
No.
Too much.
I would be a goaltender on purpose.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. All right, I'll kick off my first one. Goes out to Lucas Beltran of Fiorentina getting the winning penalty against Club Bruges to go to the Europa Conference League final. I believe for the maybe not the second year straight. I think they were in it maybe the semis last year and they lost like West Ham or Frankfurt because they played in it. But
Fabio helped them get there.
A Europa League or Europa Conference League staple at this point, Fiorentina. Hopefully they can get the job done this time. Second, Michael Olise. You and I, it's a pleasure that we're both on this pod together. You and I both had Crystal Palace over Manchester United. Michael Olise was a big part of that for us. Had a sick goal. I think he also had an assist in that game. They won 4-0. Shout out to him. He's going to go somewhere for a lot of money, and depending on where he goes, he's either going to never play or he's going to be crazy good. So look out for him. And then, if you couldn't tell, I'm feeling under the weather. It's mainly because I was at, I think it's called Love and Life music festival in Charlotte, North Carolina. Saw a lot of fantastic shows, but the headliner and easily the best show, and I know you're a huge fan, was Noah Khan. Funny guy. He showed up in two people's sets before he went on. He showed up for Maggie Rogers the day before and just literally came up and said, Noah Khan is mid, and then walked off the stage. Pretty baller of him. And then he showed up in Mountjoy's set right before his and sang a song. He's a hilarious dude. He made the joke that the festival is called Love and Life, and he literally said, have you guys listened to the music? Like, I make depressing-ass, sad music all the time.
That's a very good point.
Yes, he was great. It actually made me look at... I like Stick Season a lot, but when I was first listening to it, I had no clue who he was, anything like that. It's one of those things where, one, a live show, and two, when you, like, not obviously don't meet the person, but you see how they are, you kind of just like it more. And I've just been blaring it ever since. We did it the whole way home. I've done it on the way to work. He's fantastic.
I feel like you're describing the first time I saw this guy was the same thing. Like, this guy can tell great jokes. He's phenomenal in concert. Like, will forever be an Ed head, like, through and through. I wish I could join you on the Noah Khan train, but tickets are like $900 in New York, so I unfortunately can't see him.
That is actually, it was crazy how, it was the first time this festival has ever been held, and tickets were, like, kind of pricey, but it was weird because my girlfriend Morgan got them, and she loves Maggie Rogers, so, like, that was a big one. Mountjoy, Young the Giant, we both like Ripe. They were funny as hell too. Not how you imagine they look like if you ever listen to their music. It's just a big fat guy with the afro that is just funny as hell. And then we saw the Fray too, which was crazy because they haven't been doing anything for like 10 years. But it was awesome. I mean, all the people you saw, it was worth the ticket. So Post Malone, God, I'm forgetting the big ones. Post Malone, Beach Boys were there. Stevie Nicks was there. Like, it was huge. It was massive. It was a lot of fun. I had a great time. Yeah, it was great. I think tickets were like $400, $450 or something like that. So for all that, you know, I mean, we spent a shit ton of money on alcohol, but you know, I think it's worth it.
Cheaper than the F1 race in Miami. You're good.
Yeah. Well, we also were talking about seeing Noah Khan again, and we looked at he's coming to Blossom, and I think those are like $500 right now. So
the Fenway, he's ending his tour in Fenway.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can't agree with him on. I can't agree with him being a Red Sox fan, but whatever. He's he's a
what do you want to be?
Yeah, New England guy. Exactly. I can't really hold that against him. All right. Full week of Premier League games. We had a couple good weeks as well predicting. Dylan, you're inching closer to 500. Congratulations on that. I think you're going to be able to do it this time. But let's start off first. Luton and Everton We had a goal in the 24th minute, a penalty from Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Ever since I've brought his name up again, he can't stop scoring. And then we had a second goal in the 31st by Elijah Adebayo. That ends it 1-1, kind of dashes potentially Luton's chances of getting staying up in the Prem. Anything to take away from this game, Dill?
I'm shocked that Luton couldn't pull it off for the fact that you had a team fighting for their lives against a team that basically just guaranteed coming off of knowing they can't get relegated. Like, this, to your point, all but just confirmed, unfortunately, that Luton's probably going down, which, with all the point deductions, is probably the right thing, but in terms of me wanting them to stay up, it's just sad, but they're fucked.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Everton kind of, XG-wise outplayed them. It was exactly 50-50, pretty even game. I just really thought that the tenacity of not wanting to get relegated would kind of be that extra little hump to get over, but
it's crazy because
I don't know.
All year, it was always like, just wait for the 70th minute, they're going to score their 3 goals because they never gave up, and then you get to the end of the season, maybe it's just because, they don't have the depth, so they've run out of steam. But it's just wild that the team and the identity they had, and why I think we all kind of fell in love with them to stay up, it's just falling apart at the end, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think they had that win against Bournemouth, and then they played City 5-1. But then the next one was Brentford. They lost 5-1 at home. Then Wolves, and you guys, I think, dealing with your own injury issues too. At the Molineux, though, tough place to go. It's the home ones that I really feel like they should have kind of had a better go at. Hopefully they come back up, though. I like them a lot. I don't think they spend a ton of money. I'm not 100% sure about that, so hopefully they kind of go down and just kind of maintain. Next game was Arsenal 3, Bournemouth 0. Bukayo Saka penalty in the 45th, Leandro Trossard in the 70th minute, and then Declan Rice in 90+7. Really, Bournemouth not a huge threat in this game. Arsenal looked really good, actually. You are the resident Arsenal stan. You have them winning the Prem. Give me your thoughts on this one.
I think they handled their business. I actually think it's a shame that they're going to... it's just going to be the same thing that happened to you guys. They're going to lose by a point on the whole thing because City's not dropping anything. But 2 points, whatever it's going to come out to, though. It's basically still the same thing. I know you're going to say you had the point away, but it hurts all the same.
Twice.
But regardless...
It does.
I think they're just locked in, and at least if you're an Arsenal fan, you're not going to look at it this way, but outside looking in, the fact that they're competing with City down the line, it's just a part of that championship tape that hopefully next year they get over the hump on their standpoint. But I think this is when you always look at seasons, right? It's progressing from where you were to a better spot. The fact that they're not faltering down the end, I think, shows that progress of where the team is. It's the moral victory of it, and maybe City slips up. I personally don't think so, but
yeah,
I think they're finishing strong, which is a good thing. And then Bournemouth kind of got screwed by VAR, but I have no hard feelings for them because it happens to me and every other team every week. So
everybody.
So unless people unite
VAR
to get them to change it or turn into Sweden and don't accept it, we're screwed.
Well, it wasn't offsides, was it? It was just actually just VAR?
Yeah.
Yeah, so automated onside, offside is not going to help. We're still going to have bad referees making bad decisions. Yeah, I think Arsenal, I think you're absolutely right. I think everyone's talking about their next game is against United, and that they've only won 1 out of 16, last 16 matches there. They're going to crush United.
I heard someone bring this up because it's the irony of, let's say they do lose by 2 points, is City ends their season with Fulham, Tottenham, and then who do they actually? Who's their last game?
It is West Ham at home.
West Ham. So the irony of it is who Arsenal has dropped points to are those teams. Is why it's also so funny because specifically they dropped 5 points against Fulham. Win that one game, you win the league. So it's obviously hindsight's 20/20, but I heard a different podcast bring that up, and I thought that was actually pretty funny. Of like who they're hoping saves them is who they should just be when it's all said and done.
Yeah, and you can always like look back, but I do agree because that beginning of the year for them up until Christmas, well not up until Christmas, but like they were unbelievable at that halfway point, and they weren't as good this year, and everyone was kind of, myself included, saying they took a step back. But I actually do think like there might have been a couple falters, but they've basically stayed the same and been consistent, which I think is better. All right, Brentford 0, Fulham 0. We don't talk about 0-0s. Even though I needed both teams to score and neither one did. Yeah, pretty tragic. Pretty tragic there. Burnley 1, Newcastle 4. A goal from Wilson in the 19th, followed by Longstaff, Guimaraes, Isaac, and then O'Shea got one back for Burnley in the 86th. This also certainly dashes Burnley's hopes for the most part. I think their last games are at Spurs, and then Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest would be a big one if they could beat Spurs. I don't think they will. But what do you think about Vincent Kompany's man?
You paused on me. My bad.
Oh, so you're good.
So, good radio. No, I think it's funny because Newcastle's never good away either, and it goes in the same conversation of Burnley friends for their lives. I think you can see a little bit, but I'd stick to 4 for them. There's no impossible escape happening. This is the one game I didn't really get to watch, so I don't have a lot of commentary for you guys today on this one.
They can max out at 30 points, win the next 2. Forest need a draw. They play Forest at one of those, which is important. Forest need a draw to hit 30, and they have a far better goal difference. I think it would be actually a miracle if Burnley stayed up. Newcastle, on the other hand, got a lot of flack midway through the season, beginning and midway through the season. They're currently in 6th place. 3 games left to play, same as Spurs. They have a chance to get in Europe again, and even Europa League, the way Spurs are playing right now.
Oh, yeah. They were more of, I think, that up and down season, but, like, for all the injuries they have, if they end up in 5th or 6th, I think that's an extremely impressive coaching job by Eddie Howe. Like, yeah. I feel like, I don't think anyone talks badly about him, but I feel like that's another person that should be getting some credit for a lot of, I know they have the money, but they haven't been able to spend it, and they definitely also had some depth issues. And the fact that, I don't know, I guess the question is it a testament to them, or more of a testament of, even though I think Chelsea might be able to figure it out, but, like, to the Chelseas and Uniteds, and even, like, Brighton falling off at the end of, like, just all kind of being mid. So it's allowing them to kind of come back into it.
Yeah, I think Spurs is a big one. They've dropped 4 straight now. They've had kind of up and down season as well. So still 4 points back from them. Chelsea are surging at the right time. United are falling off. United are in 8th right now. But I think you have Newcastle 56, Chelsea 54, and United 54, all played 35 games. I think it probably stays exactly like that, to be honest. I don't think any of them catch Spurs. And I mean, Newcastle weirdly just play good sometimes. Like, I don't think you can even really gauge it. They're kind of like Fulham in a weird sense, where I just don't know what team's going to show up. But sometimes they just beat a team 4-1, 5-1, and sometimes they lose 2-0.
Yeah, you're right, and there's no way to explain it.
Which I don't know if that's a good thing coaching-wise, because it's kind of inconsistent. But at the same time, you have different guys out there all the time.
Spin zone it, because when you're good, you're good. So, like, just focus on that part instead of when it's really
just focus on the good shit.
Because you could be West Ham, where you're just losing by 5 every single game now, and you're firing the one coach that actually won you something. I know we're talking about that probably later, but
you got some beef to stew up here. You're like on your Kendrick and Drake stuff right now, just with soccer.
And they're going to hire a coach who's going to leave them halfway through the year anyway, because he's just not going to be happy. Oh, I do not like the city of London. I have to move somewhere else. Like,
weirdly, I think Lopetegui is going to really like the city of London.
I know he will, but I hope they get relegated. I actually had no beef with West Ham. If he's there, I am never going to be rooting for someone to
so much
more.
beef.
Like, literally, he's my Chris Wilder.
There you go. Speaking of Chris Wilder, fantastic segue. Sheffield United 1, Nottingham Forest 3. A Ben Brereton Diaz penalty in the 17th, followed by a Hudson-Odoi, Yates, and Hudson-Odoi sandwich, 27th, 51st, and 65th. Nottingham Forest get a huge away win. Sheffield United, obviously nothing to play for. Just seeing if they're going to give up the most goals or have the highest goal difference of the bottom place team. I think they're currently at 100 goals given up, minus 65. I think Nick said it was minus 69 was the record. So they got 2 games to give up 4 goals on aggregate.
So many goals. Like, it's so bad.
It really is.
Like, Carolina...
36...
The Carolina Hurricanes had more shots in the game last night. Like, which is also crazy in its own self. But the fact that, like, they're equaling shots in a hockey game with goals given up is a ridiculous feat.
They are giving up just under 3 goals a game. 2.77, 2.78, whatever. That is on average, too. Like, not in some games or whatever. Like, that means teams are scoring 5, 6, which we've seen many times this year against them. Yeah, insane. Nottingham Forest, I think I've kind of come around to, like, wanting them to go down as well, which is why I was, like, all for Luton. I've never really had an issue with them. Something now, I'm just kind of like, I feel like they should learn their lesson and go down.
If they went down, you'd get Gibbs White so cheap this year. You'd be stoked.
I know. That would be so sick. You guys could get him back. Redemption arc.
No, we don't need him back.
We're about
to make like $300 million in sales in the next 2 years because of all the wonder kids we have, not named Fabio Silva.
There you go. He scored a goal for Rangers this week.
I
saw it on my
He
feed.
scores goals for everyone except for when he's wearing a Wolves jersey.
Fair point. Absolutely fair point why you don't like him. Manchester City 5, Wolves 1. Holland had 4 goals and Alvarez another one in the 85th. That Korean guy had a goal in the 53rd. Shouts out to him. I think that actually should just count as 5 points. It should be a draw.
Yeah. I had a buddy text me, like, a draw's plus 1,100. Like, can the Wolves draw? And my answer was the game is either going to be a tie or it's going to be 4-0 and there will be no in between. It was the 4-0 game. So,
yeah.
Split points. I can live with splitting points with City in the season.
Absolutely. Great way to look at it. You were predicting it wasn't a 4-0, but it was a 5-1. It was the gentleman's sweep of soccer, what the Cavaliers are going to get against Boston, hopefully. Hopefully we don't get swept. Listen, you guys have already... I was actually just looking at this, too. Brighton down to 11th, Bournemouth in 10th. You guys are 12th. Like, I actually think you can't make the argument for Howe as the coach of the year because it's literally Gary O'Neill or it is Emery. It's just one of those two guys.
But if you look at it from a Wolves perspective, I think we've had a great year considering where we were and and all that.
Absolutely.
But the wild part is, let's say we lose to Palace and then we lose to you guys as a courtesy to let Klopp get a win on his way out.
I appreciate that.
There's a chance we finish in 14th, which is exactly where we finished last year. And it was a much different way to get to that point, which is why it's wild. But, like, it's kind of a bummer when it's like, we ended up in the same spot. This must be what it's like to be a Crystal Palace fan, I guess.
Yeah, I think the spin zone that I'll give you for that is after last year, finishing 14th, and then everything that led up to the next year, which is this season, was bad. Like, just not good. So to basically not have lost any ground, if that is the case, is pretty great, I would say.
I agree with that. That's fair. I definitely am more optimistic going into next year at this point.
Yeah. If you're looking at it just from the numbers, then, yeah, I guess you flatlined or whatever. But still, you could always get worse and get relegated. So I guess it's not always the same. Holland. I think Holland had one more attempt to try to get me back into the fantasy running, but I don't think it worked. So, Brighton 1, Aston Villa 0. Brighton, a team that I haven't ever been able to understand this year. I think they're another one that just kind of whatever you're going to get this year is positive because they play fun football. They have a lot of young guys. They have a lot of people that we've never heard of. I thought Villa were like pretty poor in this game overall, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure they're safe in fourth, so I don't think they really care. And they want to probably try to beat Olympiacos tomorrow.
Yeah, I think their focus, it's on both, but I think with what's happening with Spurs behind them, I think they feel comfortable in that fourth spot. And I don't know. I think to Brighton, not to give excuses, but they had some key injuries too, which is why I think they fell off a cliff. But like, De Zerbi, I feel like, is the first coach to like have his team play themselves out of him probably getting a promotion to a bigger club.
They wanted him to stay that bad.
They literally kept losing
to
keep him. You're 100% right.
I love it. Yeah, Matoma, I think you see how big of a deal losing him was, obviously. But again, with Matoma out, Simon Adingra becomes, who you're going to sell for $1 bajillion.
Yep.
You probably move João Pedro on after this year too, if you really wanted to make some money, because he looked pretty good. And you still have Gilmore, you still have Van Hecke, you have a bunch of guys that are all really good. They're fine. I think we always get into this. They lose a game against somebody, and we're kind of like, what the hell's going on? And then we remember that it's Brighton, and they're like so incredibly overperforming that, that's it. Yeah. Doesn't matter.
I agree.
All right.
Finish between 11 and 12. They're going to be as happy as can be.
Yeah, they will be totally fine with that. Chelsea 5, West Ham 0. Okay, Palmer, Gallagher, Madueke, Jackson, and then Jackson again in the 80th minute. Chelsea, hot as can be right now. I think that's like four wins on the bounce. Or I'm sorry, 2 wins and then a draw against Aston Villa. Never mind. I'm getting ahead of myself.
It's more they haven't lost at home since the Wolves put a beat down on them in March at this point. It's like they've been playing well. I feel like this is what Chelsea or like whoever the bad Big Six team always does to end the year. Like they have to keep playing because they're such underperforming, and they're playing the middle of the pack teams that although they have something to play for, they also don't. And then they look good, and again the optimism's like, oh, we're going to turn it around next year, and then we shouldn't be shocked when we see the exact same thing, unless they get a different coach and maybe that changes. But I don't know what's going to happen with this. It could have been a game between both coaches just not being there next year.
They have not lost at home since the Wolves 4-2. John and I were running a half marathon that day. I remember it fondly. They did have a home draw against Burnley, which is not good. They had a away draw against Sheffield United, which is horrible. But they did tie Aston Villa at Aston Villa, so, not always bad. Yeah, I actually think they're playing really well. Palmer is, the third highest scorer, or maybe fourth highest scorer in the league right now. They still got people fighting over who's going to take penalties, which is, whatever. I don't really care. I think 7th right now, I think, is where they're at. I think it looks very, very good on them compared to, like, what everybody, Chelsea fans included, were talking about this year with like Pochettino and everything.
Should I make my bold prediction with 2 weeks left that Chelsea actually ends up finishing in 6th? Is that bold of a take at this point?
Oh no, they could, because again, we already said Newcastle, they could be terrible the rest of the year for all I know, and Chelsea wins out. United have been bad. I mean, they could easily be 6th, without a doubt. Right, I don't know about 5th, but they could easily be 6th.
I think they might finish in 6th, though.
Dylan, you're such an apologist for the London clubs, man. Arsenal, Chelsea, all these guys.
I really want them to lose, but then I always because I feel like they do have good players, and then they start to do kind of well, and then I'm like, ooh, I'm going to get them at a good value, and then they fuck up again, and I'm like, it's so stupid. I keep just going to the light every time.
You're like a gnat.
Literally.
You're a gnat for Chelsea.
I'll learn one of these days.
Do we I feel like it's not in good taste to dance on the grave of West Ham, right? Just kind of let them slink by.
Their coach is leaving. They're not playing for anything at this point.
All right. Totally fine. I'm with you there. Crystal Palace 4, Liverpool 4, Spurs 2. We had a Salah goal in the 16th, Robertson in the 45th, Gakpo in the 50th, and then Elliott in the 59th. We gave up our trademark goal to Richarlison in the 72nd and also to Son in the 77th. We looked a lot better in front of goal, finally. Spurs, we're pretty open at the back, I would say. It's a pretty open game in general. We obviously, 2 goals, you don't want to wish for a clean sheet. I'm not really wishing for anything right now. I kind of want the season to be over and just move on to the next year. Any thoughts on this one? Spurs, do they have a chance at top 4? You think they're out? If Arsenal and City lose all their games and we win, we win the Prem. Do you think that could happen? Don't get my hopes up.
I think they're out from a Tottenham perspective, but I also think they're primed. I think this is like primed where if John was on here, he'd probably say this is why they'll end up tying or beating City, because they look like absolute shit, which is where they'll just pull that one miraculous game out of their ass, and it's going to be against City.
I honestly don't doubt it at all.
Unless they play the United.
Unfortunately. I think it's such an easy thing to do because oh wait, I'm thinking about it ass backwards. They won't do that. They're gonna play.
I know.
Ange
won't. But I saw something too. In their first league, the most points by manager in the Premier League, their first season, Ange has done that. I'm pretty sure. I don't know when the date was, but I think Ten Hag had 58. He has 60. I think Pep had 56 or something. It was either him or Klopp. But that's what it was. It was since Klopp took over, who's had the most points in their first season, and he's at the top of the list. As much as it's a stumbling to the end, again, I think Spurs fans should be happy. I think they know the holes they need to fill for next year.
Yeah.
Just do your best to stay in Europe and go from there. Just go win Europa next year. Get a trophy.
Yeah, you didn't. You didn't have Europa European football last year. So if you get in one of those spots, it's at least a positive in that sense. They got Burnley, then City, then Sheffield United. I think they probably get 6 points to end the season, and
I agree with that.
They're probably pretty happy. All right, Klopp farewell. He's got the last game at Anfield against Wolves. That'll obviously probably be Darwin Nuñez's last game at Liverpool as well, from what we're hearing.
Wait, actually?
So, yeah, he deleted all his Liverpool posts, and he's on vacation in Disney right now with, I can't remember his last name, Ronald Araujo from Barcelona.
Wait, I actually missed all this. What happened? Who's he pissed at?
Just deleted all of his shit. I don't know. He just deleted all of his shit. I think he's probably gone. I can't believe he's in Disney right now. Actually, now that I'm thinking of it, when I saw that, I didn't think anything of it, but now I'm thinking we're in the season still. There's not a break.
Yeah.
And he's in Disney.
The Paris Disney or Florida Disney?
I have no idea, actually. I couldn't tell you. Probably Paris, right? It's just quicker. Maybe there's a day trip.
Paris
I don't know.
They could get to quickly and also be back if they had an off day. But
yeah.
Well, that's a good way to try and get a coach to come fill the shoes of probably the best coach you guys have had in a very long time.
He is. I wouldn't be shocked because he hasn't said a word about it either. So usually if it's I did it because I want to stay laser focused or some bullshit like that, he hasn't said a word. So I think he's probably just pissed. So that'll be cool.
This is breaking news to me. I had no idea.
Yeah. I don't mean this actually because I don't care enough. I got 2 shirts to burn. I got the red Nuñez one, and then I also bought a t-shirt that I have to burn as well. So RIP those. Finally, the last game, Crystal Palace 4, United 0. Elise in the 12th, Mateta in the 40th, Tyreek Mitchell in the 58th, and then Elise again in the 66th. I know we talked about, or at least I talked about Elise, and he was great, obviously. He was fantastic. Mateta has been very good as well, actually. Like, he's actually looking like somebody you can kind of keep around and build as that striker. Tyreek Mitchell, I think, is a good platoon guy, good goal to get. But Elise, Daniel Nuñez had both Elise's assists, and then Chris Richards, shout out USA, had the assist for Mateta. So Crystal Palace truly are unstoppable right now, it seems like.
It's crazy that they need to get better physios, because when they're fully healthy, like, they have a chance of being a problem. What? You're laughing, but, like, I'm right.
No,
like,
I'm with you. I'm with you.
The problem is, once they're both on the field, Eze gets injured. Then there's only Elise. Then Elise gets injured, right? Like, they're never on the field together. And when they are, like, they are clicking. And then the wilder thing is, like, if they could keep this team together, again, and get better doctors and training staff, they could actually be good next year. But the problem is they're also now going to probably sell all of them, so hopefully they can reinvest.
Yep.
Because they're making a ton of money, but it's just funny that, like, what Crystal Palace could be if they actually could stay on the
field. It is a little bit of the West Ham thing, where West Ham is like, we have some good players, we want to play more exciting football, and Crystal Palace is like, we see, the last however many games, and they're like, we're beating some of the teams up there. We have a chance, and then 2 or 3 guys get hurt, and they're like fighting for points against Sheffield United and Nottingham Forest. So
yep, that's Palace.
It's a tough one. Yeah, that's why I think it's the 10th year in a row or something I saw that they're going to be between 40 and 49 points.
Yeah,
guaranteed. That's crazy. That's actually, yeah. Talking about consistency. That's hella consistent. All right. The week recap, as John would say every time, done and dusted. We can go to predictions here. John had a decent week, or good week, actually. I don't know why I'm talking shit to him. I did bad math here. He was 6-4. I myself was 8-2. Dylan had I have to scroll all the way down, 7-3 week. Like I said, 3 games off of 500 right now. Shout out to you. And Nick had a 5-5 week. Obviously, he picked United. Good for him. He has to. Kind of like part of being a fan at this point. But we got some games. No midweek games this week. We had Champions League. Oh, actually, that's what I want to talk about. I forgot. You actually killed Bayern. Do you want to explain how you did that?
Yeah, I got a little excited when I saw they were up 1-0 and it was like the 80th minute. I was very mentally prepared for like a PSG Real Madrid final, and it's like, you know what? Even though we haven't seen this before, like, I feel like we have seen this before, and I know that's going to be ironic with me saying, like, I was kind of looking for a Der Classico and getting a Bayern Dortmund, because also Dortmund, I think that's Dortmund's best chance to actually win. So I was like, I can't believe we're getting that game. And then as soon as that text came through, the Thanos that is immediate. Real Madrid snapped their fingers and was inevitable. And honestly, I think that's more. They should have just fired Tuchel and not let him be there. I feel like that's just Tuchel bottling it completely.
Yeah, I'm with you, because Tuchel was, when we were looking for a coach. Now we have the wonderful Arne Slot. Get ready for the Arne Slot is what I like to say. When we were looking, there were some reports that we were going to get Tuchel, and Twitter did its thing and was like, Thomas Tuchel actually won the Champions League with Chelsea this year when they weren't actually that good, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Recent Tuchel has been horrible. He has actually made Bayern not win a trophy, which is insane to do, because they hated, at the end, they were so pissed at Nagelsmann, and he still won by a miracle. I did not want anything to do with Thomas Tuchel. But it was also the one time where previous episode I said, you actually just have to beat Real Madrid into oblivion to beat them by like a goal. Like, you can't just beat them by a goal like in a close match. You have to dominate them for 180 minutes to even think about winning. And when Bayern were winning that game, I kind of was like, man, the one time I say this, they're going to fucking lose to Bayern and they should be winning. And, of course, no. They're inevitable, like you said. And the funniest tweet I saw was, of all the teams that God could like, why did it have to be Real Madrid? Because it literally is just, if there is a God, he fucking loves Real Madrid because they just pop off whenever they need to. So, shout out to them. Did you get to watch today at all, or were you working?
I was working. I saw the last basically.
I
saw the last.
you saw the
minutes
last part
of when it happened. I was watching the game the other day though. Like I thought that was going to be kind of more of a banger. And like, I mean, granted, PSG probably should have won because they hit like 7 posts. But you know what? Like, don't brighten it. Get all the XG you want after you put in the back of the net. There
you go. See, I actually meant to ask you if you saw that game, but I was looking at the Real Madrid Bayern one, and I just had a brain lapse. Yeah, I actually thought I picked Dortmund to win, and I was so excited. I went to the like doc, and I picked PSG, and I was very sad with myself. So we got Dortmund, Real Madrid. I know pretty much the entire world will be rooting for Dortmund, and God and Madrid will be rooting for Real Madrid. So, or at least part of Madrid. So
no, you're right.
All right, let's get into predictions here. We got the first game coming up this week: Fulham versus Manchester City. Fulham at home, Man City away. Who do you got, Dylan?
So I saw on Instagram that Fulham was like practicing flying kites during their training session. So I do not think they're the team to make City stumble. So I will be taking City.
I will be taking City as well. I actually might ladder them based on what you just said. I might go up to like -4.5 if they're Fulham are out there flying kites. Bournemouth hosting Brentford. I got the cherries here. I just like them a little bit more than Brentford. Brentford's safe now. What about you?
I'm taking Bournemouth too, but I'm also like 49% positive this is going to be a tie, but I'm going to take Bournemouth.
It could very easily be a tie. I have to change John's spelling. He actually spelled it Bournemouth, so it bothered me. Yeah, it could easily be a tie. Who knows with these teams for the most part. End of the season, both teams are not really playing for much more. I did see, however, Bournemouth are coming to America to do preseason. They're going to LA, so shout out to them.
So the Wolves.
Hey, there we go. That would be
Palace
sick, actually.
West Ham.
Might we get the entire Premier League in America? That would be kind of cool. We should road trip it.
They're going to Annapolis and then Florida. You can go see them in Jacksonville. Great city of Jacksonville.
God. Yeah, I was going to say, Jesus. All right, Everton hosting Sheffield United. A team that saved themselves and a team that probably should be flying kites and not playing soccer. I got Everton.
I'm taking Everton too.
Shout out to you, Hank. We support you. Newcastle hosting Brighton. Newcastle at home. Brighton, I don't know what they do consistently, so I got Newcastle for this one.
Same. Also fighting for that Europe spot, so they have something to play for.
Do you think this is the both teams to score bet?
Probably. Because the fact that I'm actually pretty confident in Newcastle to win means like Brighton's going to somehow screw that up. So,
yeah,
I would take both teams.
I think I might rock with that. Spurs hosting Burnley. God, it seems like at the end of the season, they seem like they're easy, but I feel like they're not going to be. I feel like I'm going to go like 2 for 8 this week.
Yeah, I'm going to take Spurs though.
Yeah, me too. Actually, the fact that we're agreeing, and no offense, we're on different ends of the spectrum, show that we might be way off here.
I feel like I just went 7-3. You went 8-2 last week, so you know what? I don't think you got to. As someone who's fighting not get relegated, I'm actually trying right now.
You recency bias. We're both hot. That's why I think we should keep it going. West Ham hosting Luton. This is actually a tough one because I feel like West Ham are dog shit right now. What do you think?
I want to hear what you have.
Okay. I haven't put anything yet. I'm going to take West Ham because I think Luton are just dead.
Okay, I'm taking. I already had it filled out. I'm taking the tie. This is probably because I just want Luton to have something to fight for on the last day, except it won't be fun.
I agree. I'm with you. I don't think they will, though, so sorry. Wolves hosting Crystal Palace. I know what you're going to put on the dock.
I'm taking Palace, but I also truly think with how Palace is playing, there's a very good chance they'll put their ass.
Yeah. I'm going to... As long as Elise and Eze have not gotten injured from now till that game.
That's a fair point. If I would like it on the record, if the two of them are not starting, I would like my pick officially changes to a tie.
What if one of them is starting?
Tie. They're like the Power Rangers. They have to be together for it to be fully beautiful.
I'm with you, and we will give that option to John and Nick as well. But I want the tie. Actually, I want the Wolves win if they're not. One of them is not playing. If both of them are playing, I want Crystal Palace.
That's fair. Everyone knows me picking the Wolves tie means I think they can win. I just won't actually do it.
Yeah, you just would never dare to highlight that box. Forest hosting Chelsea.
I'm taking Chelsea. Again, I want Luton and them to have to play for something, so I'm kind of like picking based off of that.
This is a sneaky game because Forest are going to get up for this game, for sure. It could all be taken away in the first 10 minutes if Chelsea score. But I'm in it for the banter, so I'm going to take Forest.
I respect it.
Picked them once. I picked them away at Chelsea, and they won. So, you know what? Oh, yeah, I'm just going to double down. All right. United hosting Arsenal. I got Arsenal. I mean, I can't.
There are two different spectrums, I don't, as you would say.
I do not give a fuck about this 1 out of 16 thing. These are two completely different teams. Aston Villa hosting Liverpool. I have to pick us. This could easily be a loss. The way we're playing, I think we're a little bit better now. But Villa at home could be, the greatest team in the Prem, or they could be bad. We could also be the same. So I'm just gonna pick us and say I did my part.
I think Liverpool because Darwin Nuñez shows up at halftime, and Liverpool wins the Bourbon Bowl. So
I really want to see. I need to do some investigative journalism. I need to see which Disney he's at, and I need to see if he's been in any training photos that they've taken.
Yeah, because there's a big difference.
Because if he's
not the Paris one is like, hey, maybe they had the day off and he went.
Yeah. Type of thing. Totally. Or it means he is not training with the team and he's on a leave, which would be the worst case scenario.
That is also true.
All right. Those are the predictions. Dylan, do you have any bets for us before we get out of here?
Bet 2. We were just talking about the Forest Chelsea game. I think there's a lot of goals. I'm going to take over 3.5 plus 120. And then I don't normally do this, but I was saying I truly think they're in much better form than we are if they're healthy. And if they are healthy, Crystal Palace plus 185.
I love that. I took Crystal Palace to beat United. And when I went on the app, I was expecting it to be pretty even.
They're probably plus 500.
Plus 2. No. Well, they're at home. I was hoping that it would be when it's tie, United, and Crystal Palace are all kind of 200 to 290.
Yeah.
Crystal Palace was plus 105.
Shows you the state of Man United.
I was shocked. I still took them because I was so confident, but I should have laddered them. That would have been
Bruno
a huge payoff.
Because they do really suck without Bruno.
Maybe. Good job on us, the podcast, talking about that during the game, by the way. Yeah. We didn't even bring it up.
Well, because we talked about Palace. Because you know what? I'm fine with that because as someone who roots for a mid-table team, normally it's not about why they won. It's normally why did United stink or why did Arsenal stink. So we did that for the mid-table people because they deserve to be talked about and not the shitty Big Six team. You're
absolutely right. We're for the little guys. As little brothers, we we come in for the little guy. So
Exactly.
Shout out to them. All right, Dylan, it was a pleasure. You want to get us out of here with a joke?
Yeah. How do you stop squirrels from playing football in the garden? Hide the ball, which drives them nuts. Cheers.
The NAFTAA Podcast.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.